That's not been out of you at that time, and then what kind of key learnings you took out of that kind of prep?
I remember out of the ring, I was all disappointed. My brother's coach come up to me and goes, "You got a lot of heart, but you need some skill." And he was an traditional old Burmese man, so straight shooter, which I work really well with.
Yeah.
So I'm a straight shooter. My parents are straight shooters. So if someone says something and it's honest, I'm okay with that. So he said that, and I said, it might be time. So I ended up moving camps and ended up going up to the Burmese camp up in Midland. So I was travelling from, at this time I was in Kwinana, which is like, close to an hour drive every night.
And back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So an hour back to train. But it was the best thing I ever did because the discipline, everything that we learned, like everything was regimented. And I work well with that. I work well with structure, as in like, this is what we do, this is what we do, this is what we do. Our normal thing was we'd go in, we'd run 5Ks. So we were under the velodrome, the cycle drome. So we'd just be up top watching them cycle, and we'd be just running around. So we'd get in, and these were long sessions. So we'd train for like 2.5 to 3 hours. So it was very old school. So we'd run first, we'd come back down, we'd do 5 sets of 100 kicks. Then we would stop, and then we'd start warming up. So that was our pre-work. I mean, science has gone. There's a lot that's actually happened since then. The merit in it and the resilience it taught you was that if I can get through training like this, I can get through fights. So we did that, and then we'd go into our normal prep: skipping, shadow boxing, rounds, bag rounds, tech rounds, sparring, clinching.
And they'll just change up,
and it would just keep changing. And it was just that old traditional style where it was just, we'd train for a long period of time. It wasn't always hard, but we were there for a long time. So,
and you attribute that key, like the 5K running at the start there, or the pre-work you had to do now, to where you kind of develop the skill. Like, it's just that constant struggle and constant making you put through that hard work to actually, that your reward is training now to do the hard work. And now now the training starts. It's like the old Schwarzenegger used to say, don't start counting reps until it starts hurting. Essentially the same
exactly
kind
that.
of
Like, your road work was your road work. That's what you did. That was non-negotiable. We did that, and then we trained. So that part was to make you better at training, so you could get through the rounds, or so you can get through the session. So at the start it's hard, but once you do it, it's actually a warm-up. Like, you wouldn't think of 5K as a warm-up. We're not running like records.
It was just a jogging run,
especially after, like, you've had some fights and stuff, and you've just had a fight. So you come in, we were only allowed 1 day off. So if we fought
one day off a week.
No, after the fight.
After a fight.
Yeah, it was 1 day off. So we were allowed the Monday off and back in Tuesday.
And it's the same
because
thing again.
What we found was that if we had a week off, it took too long. A week, and then you didn't train properly for the next week, and that. So to keep someone involved, they didn't train hard. But that first run, you come in on the Tuesday, blown up ankle, and shin, get on, and the first sort of K is like, why am I doing this? But then that thought process changes, and over and over and over. So when things get tough, that resilience really does pay dividends, and you go, well, I can do this. I've done this. I've ran with this. I've done this. So the inner belief and that inner monologue changes from a negative to a positive.
Did it take a while for you to kind of make that mindset shift?
Years. Yeah. So it was a good few years. So I ended up going to the Burmese place. And training, and I had to start scratch. So they even though I'd had fights,
they were like that.
I was in the beginners class. Until I earned my merits. So I had to earn my stripes into the intermediate, and then I finally got into the fighters, and it took me 6 months. So I didn't fight again for 6 months. Which was the best thing ever. It taught me to be humble. It taught me I had to thing. And then when I started training with the fighters, it's like, I've earned this. I didn't just get it handed to me because I had fights from a different club. So there was none of that. There was no favoritism, even though my brother was there in training in the fighters.
Was it that that club you were with, was that just a fight club only, or was it? Yeah, it was like a normal class. You could just sign up.
You could, but it was one of those old school ones where they don't advertise. If you know someone, you know someone, you know someone who knows someone.
Yeah.
Come in. It's just literally under the roof was the velodrome, so the roof was actually like wood, and you could just hear the bikes going over and over.
That's real old school.
Yeah,
It was even like a club. It was just sign up,
and it's like just this little rectangle. Like it's so old. We had no mats on the floor. It was canvas on the floor.
Oh shit!
So
what about you doing like sweeps
concrete
and stuff? You're just dropping them on the floor.
Yeah. We had to be careful with it because it was concrete.
Yeah, okay.
It was essentially concrete with canvas.
They weren't that crazy dropping you on the concrete.
No, we did all that stuff in the ring. So we had a small little ring which was like 2.5 meters by 2.5 meters. So you learnt to stay in the pot. It was real small.
Wow.
It was just everything was small, and.
Did your movement suffer as like in a fight because you were training so small?
Yes, but you also learnt to fight.
Because you had nowhere to go.
Yeah, you wouldn't run. Yeah, exactly. You had nowhere to go, so you had to defend. So.
Holy shit!
And then when you go into it, it's like 6 meters. So most of the rings we will fight was 6 by 6, and it's like
room.
Yeah, and then you run around, and it's different, but the carryover is the same. So. The skill, whether we trained in a big ring or we trained in a small ring, is the same. Yeah. Except I think it's more valuable that you learn so you don't run away.
Yeah, I get that. Away. Yeah, early on for people when they do, they kind of see like a deer in the headlights and they kind of just keep trying to move away.